Hey, what's going on everyone? It's Steggy again, and in today's video, I wanted to talk about the upcoming card game, Disney Lorcana. As I had mentioned in my first Genshin Impact TCG video, I grew up with trading cards. I played Pokemon at a competitive level all throughout high school, then I moved on to other card games which I played competitively as well. The Naruto and Dragon Ball Z collectible card games from Bandai, I played those. I played the Bleach trading card game from Score Entertainment. I played Duel Masters from Wizards of the Coast. I absolutely love that game. And I even did some Magic the Gathering, but it was mostly booster drafts and things like that. I never really played competitively, like put a deck together. I just mostly did drafts. I placed top 8 in many tournaments, and I won a few big tournaments as well, which is mostly from Pokemon, and I have a few from Duel Masters. I actually have a Duel Masters like plaque hanging in my room because I'm just so proud of it. So I'm a huge fan of trading card games, and I've been wanting to play something new for a long time. Disney Lorcana looks like that new game for me. Now, I've seen a few videos where people talk about how they think the game is played, and I wanted to make one as well. I think it's fun to speculate how the game will run, and then find out how right or wrong I am, or I will be once the game is, obviously released. I wanted to try to make this video before the official rules are released as well, so I'm not like making it at the same time they come out. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and just get started. I have a few things I wanted to talk about, specifically about the game. First up, I wanted to talk about, how you play the cards. Either, their mana system or their energy, that ink or whatever. So basically, I'd like to talk about that number we see in the upper left-hand corner of all the cards. This is obviously the cost, or how many resources we must expend in order to play the card. But what is it? How are these gained? What even is this resource? One of my ideas is that you, as in an ink master or a lumineer, you start the game with some sort of guardian, just like in the Bleach trading card game. In Bleach, you had your own deck, and then you had a smaller separate deck that held your guardian, and what was your energy. Every turn, you would take 2 energy cards from your deck, and it could be whatever you wanted, and you would put them into play, and then you could use those cards to play your cards from your main deck. It was really fun, especially, when they added cards, the energy cards, they had 2 types. It just spiced up the game a bit more. And every game was different, so since the energy cards you put into play were typically based on what you were holding. And sure, you can make your deck, use certain energy, but traditionally speaking, you'd have to play energy based on what you had. Now, with this being said, maybe we gain a dozen or so Ink Master cards that we sort of use as a mascot of the deck. So like a guardian, we get it could be like Mickey Mouse, or Cruella de Vil, or Captain Hook, but it's like a bigger version. And you might be thinking, well, they have those character cards in the game, they can't do the guardian thing too. And I get that. In the Bleach trading card game, you could have Zaraki Kenpachi, who is this 11th squad captain, and he could be your guardian guy, but there are several Zaraki Kenpachi cards in the game as well. So you could do both. The guardian was mostly there for the hit points, and they had one special effect that you would typically build your deck around. Maybe, this Ink Master person that we have comes with a small stack of ink cards that we can put into play once or twice a turn in order to fuel our other cards. Or maybe we're the Ink Master, and instead we have a book or a painting canvas or something like that, where we can take ink cards and then we put them into play. Now, to branch off of this, but also kind of connect to it, another way we could play cards is using the Duel Masters method. In the Duel Masters trading card game, your deck was your energy source for your cards. Each card in your deck had a number flipped upside down on the bottom of it. Once per turn, you could take any card in your hand and you could put it in a special like mana area, and you would put it upside down so that the number was right side up. You could then use that card to pay for another card's cost. But there was a catch. If I wanted to play a green card, for example, at least one of the cards in my little mana zone had to be green, or else I couldn't play that card. What if there are ink resources or ink resource cards that are sort of a mix between the Bleach trading card game and the Duel Masters trading card game mechanics I had mentioned? Maybe we get like a book that has a mix of different colored ink or paint based off of our deck. Once a turn, we can take one or two ink cards from our book and we put them into play. If we wanted to play Elsa, the Snow Queen, we needed to pay 3 ink, but at least one of those 3 ink cards had to be purple since she is a purple card. Or we have to pay 3 purple ink because she is a purple card. I like the idea that only one of the cards has to be purple because, again, the Duel Masters trading card game used this exact same mechanic. If I wanted to play the card Holy Awe, which was a 6 cost yellow card, I needed to spend 6 energy, or mana, but only one of those 6 had to be yellow. This wasn't included on the card at all, but was a rule that needed to be followed in the rulebook. Another idea I initially had was that you started the game with a small pile of tokens that you used to play your cards. But when I saw the card Maleficent Monstrous Dragon and how it had a cost of 9, I was like, that can't be, like, that's not possible. If you had your tokens at the start of the game, could you play Maleficent right away? That seems pretty busted. Maybe the tokens are earned gradually, maybe 1 token per turn, and as the game went on, you gained more tokens to use per turn. But that's a lot of turns to wait to play Maleficent. I don't think this is feasible unless there's some mechanic or some other cards that help you get more tokens to use on your turns, which is totally possible. Finally, I wonder if the game will go the Pokemon or, and Magic the Gathering route, and the ink cards will be added to our deck. We have to draw them and then put them into play in order to fuel our other cards. This makes the most sense to me. We might have a 60 card deck and have to have some ink cards inside of it. Once per turn, if we have an ink card in hand, we can put it into play and use it to play our other cards. Maybe there's cards called locations that award an additional ink, when they're in play. Or there's ink, cards, energy cards that act as 2 ink instead of 1, like Pokemon's double colorless energy. Or maybe there's other characters that, when you exert them, they grant you more ink to use for that turn. Again, I think having the ink added to our deck that we must draw and put into play is the most possible mechanic for our ink cost, and that's what I'm going to go with. That's my gut instinct. Next, I'd like to talk about the tribal text, the stuff that says like Dreamborn, Hero, Villain, Dragon, etc., and also the character colors. I believe the tribal text we see under all of the card names are going to be used for certain decks to have synergy with itself. I'm sure there's going to be cards that say, all of your dragons cost -1 ink, or your hero cards gain 2 defense when challenged. The tribal text we see under every character card is going to play into this. All of this have something. All these cards have something. What I'm wondering is what the Dreamborn, Storyborn, Floodborn tags are for. It could be as simple as, all your Dreamborn characters get +1 attack. Or it could be as extreme as saying that your deck can only have Storyborn characters, or only Dreamborn characters. I doubt this, since I doubt there'd be enough cards to make any solid decks following this rule. And we also have seen the card Stitch, where he's a Rockstar Stitch, where he has the shift ability. I'm sure there's a Storyborn Stitch and maybe even like a Dreamborn Stitch as well. If I had to guess, I would think that these different Born characters have different ink types. Maybe the Storyborn Stitch is green and the Dreamborn Stitch is red, whereas the Floodborn, Stitch is yellow. And speaking of the colors, what do they mean? Just like in Magic the Gathering, I'm guessing the colors relate to the type of ink needed to play the card. We just saw our first images of the starter decks just the other day. On each deck, we can clearly see two different ink colors. One has yellow and purple, the other has green and red, and the final one has blue and gray. Can we only have up to 2 different colored inks per deck? I doubt that. I could be wrong though. So if we're going back to the cost area I had mentioned, I believe the colors of the cards correlate to the color of ink used to put them in play. Although, I would like to think that, like, if I wanted to play, Maleficent, Monstrous Dragon, with its cost of 9, I know it's a red card, but I would like to think that only one of the cards you have to play is red. Whereas, the other 8 that you use for the resources can be of any color. That way, you don't have, your deck's not stacked. You can have 2 different colors, like we have the yellow and purple. You can play a card that maybe costs 4 yellow with 1 yellow card and then 4 purple cards, for your resources and get that card into play. You don't necessarily have to play, 4 yellow for a 4 yellow card or 4 purple for a 4 purple card. That's just my guess. I Duel Masters, I'll put, I have some cards up here on the screen. You can see that in the corner, they have the same, it's the same, setup as a character card from Disney Lorcana. It's just a black number, 5, 3, 7, whatever the number might be. But the card also has a color. You just have to know that, oh, if I want to play this 5 cost red card, I'm going to need at least 1 red card in my mana area in order to play this. But the other colors can be anything I want. That's the direction I think they're going to go with this. Duel Masters was really fun for a while, and I can see, Disney Lorcana taking things from other games. I mean, we already see Exert, which is basically like, tap from Magic the Gathering. Duel Masters also had tap. Tap turning things sideways, but that was typically when you attacked. Yu-Gi-Oh, same principle. When you attack, you would turn your people sideways. So I don't see them borrowing stuff from other games a bad thing. Now, speaking of attacking and defending, if we're gonna be attacking and tapping and whatnot, as we've seen on a few characters, we have some interesting text concerning battle mechanics. We see the words challenging and challenged. What are these for? Well, we can clearly see that each character has an attack and defense stat. That seems pretty, plain as day. Elsa, the Snow Queen, has 2 attack and 3 defense, whereas Maleficent, the Monstrous Dragon, has 7 attack and 5 defense. But why do we need to attack? And why do we need to defend? I think there's 2 solid reasons why. One, as I had mentioned earlier, we might have a sort of book or painting canvas or something similar that has X amount of health. The goal of the game is to deal enough damage to the opponent's book to reduce it to 0 and destroy it. Or maybe more simply, we start the game with a set amount of health, like 20 or 25, and have to reduce that by attacking with our characters. 2, as I saw in Disney Lorcana Club's video, you should go watch it. I'll link it. It's a really good video. We attack our opponent's character cards with our own to earn points that go towards victory. Those strange little symbols on the right side of each character card are actually how many points that card is worth when defeated. If we defeat it via combat, we gain its points. Once we accumulate so many points, 20, 25, 15, however many, then we win the game. Now, I think challenging and challenged are two different things. I think that when you are attacking, you are challenging. This means Captain Hook, Forceful Duelist's ability, would trigger and he would gain +2 attack to become a 2/3 for only 1 ink, which is pretty good. On the flip side, if this same Captain Hook was challenged on your opponent's turn, I don't think he'd gain the +2 attack since he's not challenging, but instead being challenged. Cruella de Vil, miserable as usual, has an effect that occurs when she is challenged. She may return a chosen character to their player's hand if she is challenged and banished. If this effect occurred when she attacked or when she was challenging, she would be pretty busted. Having it be a more defensive effect makes more sense. It makes your opponent think, if I attack, the big card I just played is going to go back to my hand. She can target your own characters as well, I think. So there might be some good combos there. Now the wording is strange though, and it could simply just refer to the character that challenged Cruella. So, you know, if an enemy, Maleficent or Robin Hood or whoever, attacks into Cruella, they would be defeated. Cruella would be defeated, but that whatever attack, say Robin Hood, would have to go back to your hand. That's probably what is meant. Like, the wording is probably meant to be like that, but it almost seems like, you know, it says chosen character, like you can choose any character to bounce. Gameplay wise, from similar mechanics in other games like Yu-Gi-Oh, you know, even Magic the Gathering with their blocking, I think at whatever card challenged Cruella, like you're challenging Cruella and she's challenged and she basically blocks it, I think she will be defeated, but she will bounce whatever attacked her back to the opponent's hand. That's my guess. Now let's talk about those little triangle things. I do think the triangle things on the side of the card are points the card is worth when defeated. But like Disney Lorcana Club and others have speculated, I believe that the little triangles are used for winning the game. I think you want to attack your opponent's characters in order to earn points for victory. We probably don't have a health pool that we need to target, but instead we gather little tokens as we defeat character cards. This makes sense to me. If we think about Mickey Mouse, Brave Little Tailor, he has 4 triangles. He is also really difficult to take down with his 5 defense and evasive ability. I think that if he is defeated, you deserve the 4 triangles. What makes this even more likely is the recent announcement of the pack designs and starter decks. There's a gift set that has 4 boosters, 2 oversized cards that are foil, which is nice, 2 normal foils, and 2 tracker tokens. I believe we use these tracker tokens to keep track of how many little triangle things we've accumulated throughout the game using some sort of slider card. The Bleach trading card game had an official little notepad where you'd write down how much damage you took and how much damage you dealt to your opponent in order to keep everything straight and tidy. So you would keep track, and your opponent would keep track as well. It was a very unique thing, and I actually really liked it. I thought it was really cool. I bet Disney Lorcana is going to have something similar where you have a separate little card or slider and one of those little tracker tokens that we've seen in this gift set promotional art. Those tracker tokens are used with that slider. If we look at the card Dragonfire, which is the only non-character card we've seen so far, we see it's an action card with no triangle symbols on the side of it. Why is that? Well, we can't defeat this card, so it's not worth anything. We spend the ink cost, we use its effect, and then we send it to our discard. Simple as that. And since we're talking about cards being worth anything, I'd just like to quickly point out there is another character card here. I just double checked real quick. Olaf. Olaf is a character card, but I don't think it's like a true character card. We can't really see the triangle thing on the side, I think they blocked that for a reason. I don't think it's worth any points because it's like a token. It's an ally. I think it's just an extra card. He just kind of exists and he's there. I don't think he's worth any points, essentially. If he's taken out, if tokens are taken out, essentially, they're not worth anything. I can't really see anything anywhere that shows that he has some sort of, point cost. So I would guess that he's just not worth anything. And any future allies as well are just not going to be worth any points. They're just going to be maybe obstacles to get through. Or, if you have them, you can use them to help take down cards that do have points. Overall, those are all my speculations about the upcoming Lorcana trading card game. The more I see, the more excited I get about this game. The art looks fantastic, and Disney is a huge company, so I'm sure the game will not only be popular, but stick around for a while. I think there's going to be a huge fan base. You're going to have more experienced people who are, familiar with trading card games, playing right alongside people who are maybe new to trading card games, just because of it's Disney. I think this would be a really good set to collect as well. I think the art is really good, and I think just collecting the cards, is going to have a high demand as well. But overall, yeah, those are my opinions on the game, my speculations. I feel pretty good about a lot of the stuff. I really do like the idea that we defeat characters in order to earn points. I really like that. I wanted to talk about it as well. I think it's, a fantastic idea. And I just wanted to, offer my thoughts from someone who's played, a myriad of other trading card games. So anyway, that's about it. Again, I just wanted to put it out because I love trading card games. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Make good decisions. I guess, if you have any comments or anything you think, might, I'd say not, maybe you could disagree, but anything you think, the game might do, how mechanics might go, whatever, you can put in the comments. I'd love to hear everything. I love looking at all the videos, so, in comments. But, alright, I'm rambling. I always ramble. I'll see you later. Make good decisions. Alright, bye.